This will unlock the Padres, as these players' availability could have massive impacts on this team moving forward for the rest of the season. And I think we should talk about it. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Padres Digest with your host, Andrew. We got some more morning player analysis to go over. I got 3 more players for you. This time they're all pitchers, because we've been looking for pitchers pretty hard, especially with Cease's recent performances. So let's dive into it a little bit. Before anything, please subscribe. As always, some of these players are very good. One of these players, you could call a sleeper, maybe, depending on how you look at things. But let's start with this Jeff Passan article. So we talked about basically everyone here, right? I don't think there's anyone I've missed. No. So the ones we are missing from this list: Charlie Morton, Adrian Hauser, and one more. Padres interested in Anthony Bender. Now, if you don't know who those are, that's okay. We will go over it right now. So, going down the list, we'll start off with Adrian Hauser, a name you might remember. He did play for the Brewers for a lot of his career. But this year, he is playing pretty good. And by pretty good, I mean really good. 6-2 record, 2.10 ERA, and 11 starts. Not like a crazy amount of starts, but enough that it's a good sample size, right? 68.2 innings pitched, 47 strikeouts, 1.22 whip. So, age 32, not young, not old, right? Just a good age. I guess you can call him a good ripe age. And we'll talk about the others in just a second. But we'll move on to, we'll continue with Adrian Hauser. Pitching run value, pretty great. Fastball, real good. Breaking and off speed, not as good, right? But he has a 2.10 ERA. His expected is around 4, so he is getting a little lucky, right? Everything else doesn't look fantastic. I mean, his velo is 94, but it's a good fastball, right? He doesn't get that many people to strike out or whiff, but he gets things done. Let's put it that, right? Like, people don't barrel him. He gets a lot of ground balls. So he's I guess with this, a contact pitcher, right? So he hits the contact. Luckily, we have a pretty good defense. And I'm not as good as it's been, right? They've been better, but they're still a good defensive team. And we saw that yesterday with people like, I guess this whole series, Iglesias, Cronenworth, Machado can make good plays. Tatis saved games with his defense. So it's not like we're a bad defense. We're just not as good as we used to be, but still a really good defense. I think we were like 14th or 13th on I think what did I sort it by, like errors or something like that? So, yeah, obviously errors don't tell the entire story, but he's a very, very solid pitcher. I thought I brought up his contract, but if I remember correctly, he'll be a free agent next year. So let me double check that real quick. Okay, yeah, he will be a free agent next year. So he'll be a rental, maybe a cheap rental, depending on how he plays. But if this continues, he'll probably make like 10 million, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the market, which is always kind of crazy. But he seems pretty good for a rental. I don't think we need him to like pitch the same level, as long as he gets around like his expected ERA, about mid 3 or whatever. I think he's a very solid option. Maybe something we can package with Luis Robert Jr. We just mentioned in the last video that they don't really want what we're offering, which is not prospects. But if we have a third team join in, or we can give up somebody, maybe they'll go for it. But yeah, I mean, you can see he's looking pretty good. I mean, you can see his monthly ERA obviously has gone up, but like he has only pitched since May, and it's a 2, so he's just really good, right? He's just really good. Last year wasn't great for him, but this year has been his best year so far, at least, besides like 2018. So a solid option, a very solid option that I want you guys to appreciate. Let's move on though to Anthony Bender. You might know the name, I'm not sure. We'll get into that in just a second. But Bender, he is a reliever, not a starter. So we'll talk about the implications about that. Yes, I said implication. I know how much you guys love that word. But he has a 2.5 record, doesn't matter, reliever, right? But a 1.83 ERA, 45 games, 35 strikeouts, a whip below 1. So if you were curious, very, 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 very good. Very good. So let's look at those stats. Pitching run value, amazing. Breaking stuff is best in the league, pretty much. ERA 3.48. Right now he's at a 1, so he is technically getting lucky, but that's still really good, right? Fastball velo is almost 97, so a lot of good stuff. He's not really a strikeout pitcher. I mean, he strikes out like below average. He doesn't get people to chase, doesn't get people to whiff, but like kind of like Hauser, a lot of ground balls, not a lot of barreling of the ball. So he's the kind of guy you'll put out there, and he just gets things done. He just gets things done, right? So also, you can see he's controllable, right? Got 2 more years of arbitration, so he might be a little more expensive because of that, but he'll be like 32 when it finishes, so he's not young, but he's not old, kind of like Hauser. Obviously younger because he's 30, but I think he's very solid only if, and this is my theory, I think they get Bender if they trade Suarez. Because right now, I don't remember if I made this point yet already, but the closer market is beyond volatile right now. Emmanuel Clase is suspended. I know Christian has a video on that. And I saw that David Bednar, the Pirates closer, they want a top 5 prospect for him. So there's going to be a lot of teams, like for the Dodgers, for example. We're not going to trade for the Dodgers, but they need a closer, right? Because Tanner Scott kind of sucks. So people right now might be willing to overpay for a closer, and I don't want to give up Robert Suarez, but for the right price, if someone's dangling a top 5 prospect in this depleted prospect pool we have, this might be a trigger puller, right? And if so, Anthony Bender would be a good replacement for Suarez. He won't close. That'll go to Jason Adam probably, if not Jeremiah Estrada, but I think Jason Adam. And then Bender can basically take either Estrada's role of 7th inning or 8th inning for like old Adam's old role. So I don't think he's the kind of player you want right now unless we trade Suarez. And if we do, I think Bender would be a great replacement and controllable because Suarez probably not going to re-sign, right? So that's why I like Bender. But with, I already said it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's Bender. Let's look at it one more time. But like, really good, solid player. Last year wasn't great, right? But 2022 looked good. So even with a 3, even if he has a 3 ERA for the rest of the year, that's still really good, right? Still really good. Moving on to our last player, though. This one's a name you recognize, but he's not playing great this year, but I want to give you a caveat. But Charlie Morton. So let me show you this first. Charlie Morton since May 10th, 3.62 ERA, 1.321 whip, 24% strikeout rate. Trade deadline is 2 days away, and Morton might have just started his last game for the Orioles. So I know we showed you the ERA so far, 5.42 ERA over 17 starts. So the stats right now don't look great, but the stats since May 10th say a different story and say that he's been pitching pretty good. And I've already seen the Padres been interested in Charlie Morton. If we can somehow package a package for him, maybe for literally anyone in their outfield, because they have a lot of players. Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullen, not that I want him, but anyone literally could work in a package. But again, I mentioned this in the last video, Orioles want prospects. We don't want to give up prospects. So maybe a third team involved, or we give up somebody, you know what I mean? So it's an option, right? Now let's look at do I have something else for that? I do, but we'll come back to that. I'll come back to that in a sec. But yeah, Charlie Morton, not very great, right? Numbers don't look very great. People do miss against him around average, a little bit better than average, but this is probably his worst year in a while, you know what I mean? But since May 10th, he's looked pretty good. I mean, June was 2.88 ERA. You can't fault that. He is old. He's an old guy, right? He's not. How old is Rich Hill? Rich Hill's like what, 45 or something? Just got released by the Royals. So he's an old guy, right? Definitely a rental because I doubt he's on a longer contract. I could check, but I forget. Yeah, he's probably, if I didn't add it, that's probably because he's a free agent next year. But yeah, his stats don't look great, but he's experienced. He's been to the playoffs a couple times. The Braves and Astros too, right? Hold on, I'm gonna double check because you're gonna yell at me if I get it wrong. Okay, yeah, I was right. Pittsburgh, Houston, Tampa Bay, Atlanta. He's been everywhere, right? He's old, he's seasoned, he's got experience, he's been good before. He's not like a Hall of Famer good, but he's been solid, and he's looking solid right now since May 10th. I know July doesn't look that great, almost a 5, but maybe there's something there, right? And maybe there's something controllable, or not controllable, there's something cheap in our wheelhouse, and maybe with Ruben Niebla's help, he can become, or keep continuing to decline the ERA and just look more solid. Obviously a risk, right? No one's going to say it's not a risk, but he is an established known arm. Let's put it that way, right? But obviously I would still want the other two above Charlie Morton, but beggars can't be choosers, as they say. But let me show you this that I kind of teased. So worried about Luis Robert Jr. getting traded when they need to be paying attention to where Adrian Houser is getting traded. That's who y'all really need to be watching out for, not Robert Jr. I'll be glad when this deadline is over. This is every year White Sox. Womp womp. Womp womp. Sorry, White Sox fans. But this is the news I mentioned last video that I kind of teased that I'll talk about. But Dylan Cease is top of the Astros wish list at the deadline. Obviously, he's looking not great, right? But the Astros want Dylan Cease. I'm not too familiar with, and I'll read this in a sec, but I'm not too familiar with who the Astros have prospect-wise. I did mention last video about Victor Caratini maybe an option, but I don't know if they'd want to give up Victor Caratini. They might. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to ask. We'll ask nicely, of course. But people asking me what I want from the Astros, my brethren, I have not spent a single second looking at the Astros system. I'm at the point I hate Dylan Cease so much. I just want him gone. I'll put my faith in Preller to extract the most value possible. I'm not that extreme. I know I've mentioned it a billion times before, and some of you guys hate it when I do it, but I'm a Dylan Cease apologist. I still don't think trading him is the right move unless we get someone really good. So yeah, I don't know what the Astros have that would make this deal worth it, but clearly there'd be something in return that we could like. But again, and Adrian Preller, we trust. I trust Adrian Preller to make the moves that we need. But yeah, one more look at these guys. I think they're ranked in order already of who I'd want most. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of these players. Do you like them? Do you hate them? What would you rate them? And as always, how do you feel about the Dylan Cease trade? Want him gone? I know you guys do, but do you want him gone? Do you want him to stay? And of course, have a fantastic rest of your day. Please subscribe, super close to 2,000, and go Padres. Good night, or good morning, I guess. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Goodbye.